All right, welcome everybody. Iowa Genealogical Society's Family Tree Maker Special Interest Group on Super Bowl Sunday. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Let's see. I'm going to pick this one, share that one. Okay, here we go. Okay, move some stuff
Sorry.
out of the way here.
I'm losing my manners.
Okay. There we go. So today, I know there's been a lot of questions about when is the new version coming out. They've been teasing us for over a year now that it was coming out. I haven't heard any more. I know they're really, really close. They say they're really, really close. I'm going to be attending a presentation by one of the reps of Family Tree Maker next Saturday. So if I get any news, I will shoot a note out to everybody to let you know. Otherwise, I'm guessing the announcements are going to come out at Roots Tech. So we'll see how that goes. So that's all I can tell you. So today we're going to talk about media management. So we've been through the plan workspace, the people workspace, and now we're going to talk and sources, and now we're going to talk about media, the media workspace. So many of you know that I don't, let's see, I don't regularly, okay, why is this not coming up? Oh, here we go. I don't often attach all of my media into my tree. I have some from my early days when I was syncing, and you're going to get to see some of the, as we were chatting a bit earlier, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly about how this works. So one of the things I want to talk about right up front is I'm going to show you my computer structure of where Family Tree Maker puts their puts the media file. If you attach media to your tree, in your wherever you have your Family Tree Maker folder, I'm going to click on that, and you will see over here all of these little blue icons. Those are my family tree trees. You guys know I have a lot of trees. If it has a FTM B is a backup file. So here's my tree I just have open right now. Cats are coughing. That tree is open right now. And there's a backup that's ready for that one. That media goes into a folder of the same name. So you can see here is as soon as you create the tree, Family Tree Maker will make a media folder for that tree. It just happens automatically. So if you have different tree names, you will see different media folders for them. Some of them may not have anything in them. If you've not attached media to them, they're just a placeholder, but they're ready for when you do. So I just want you to know that's where the media shows up. Now, there's a couple of things that happen with media. So I'm going to click on my media. So here's all the media. And you can see that there's a subfolder for Darkroom Originals. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But it just puts the media in there with whatever name you've named it. Okay. And that's if you've attached it through Family Tree Maker and saved it to your tree. Now, what happens when you first start a tree, you're going to get an option that will pop up, which I've set mine to do this automatically, so I can't show you that that icon anymore. But what will happen is when you go to save something, it's going to ask you a question, and it's going to be, I'm going to go to the options folder here, tools options. If you're on a Mac, the options is up in the header bar. I gotta get to the right spot here. There's a, let's see, copy. They rearrange this all the time and I don't look at it often enough to, under warnings, right here, copy media files to media folder. And we get an option, there'll be a pop-up when you do this the first time, and it'll keep popping up until you either set it or tell it to turn it off. So you have an option to take a picture from your computer and make a copy of it into that media folder. And you have an option to say, do not copy, because you've got all your data, all your images, your documents in your computer in a file structure that you like, and so you don't want a copy of it in Family Tree Maker. So that's an option. Or if you're getting the pop-up, it's set to prompt me. So if you say attach this media to this person or to this source, it'll have a pop-up and says, do you want to make a copy or do you want to point to it in your computer? So that's what's happening. If you say make a copy, it's going to make a copy of that image from your computer into your media folder. Now, if you're syncing from Ancestry, that process of syncing will always put those images from Ancestry into that media folder. So for those of you that don't want that to happen and you're downloading them separately, you've worked out your own deal. But I just wanted you to know that you can set this under the Options Warnings tab so that it's always consistently doing the same thing, which is what mine does. And what that means is you're doubling your space on your computer for your images. You'll have your image in your computer file structure, and you'll have a copy of it in your Family Tree Maker folder, media folder. Now, the advantage of doing that is every time you do a backup in Family Tree Maker, whether you do a manual backup or whether you do the backup before you compress your database, which we've talked about that in the past, and we'll come back around to that again this year, is it will copy those images into your backup folder. If you copy them, now let me be clear about this. If you put a copy of them into the Family Tree Maker media folder, when you do a backup of your media tree, your Family Tree Maker tree, that media will be backed up as well. So if you've got them in a computer structure on your computer, a computer file structure, then you're going to want to make sure you're backing your images up if you don't put a copy in Family Tree Maker. Personal choice completely. Okay, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Whatever makes sense to you and how you want to organize your stuff. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about that. Is you can have 2 copies on your computer, or you can have 1 copy on your computer. And how do you do that? So to add images, you can go to the in the People workspace. So let's just do this in the People workspace on the Media tab. So here's the Media tab, and if I want to say New, it's going to go and say where on your computer is the file that you want to attach to this person. Okay, so that's how that works. If I use the little drop down here, I can add new media from your computer. I can add existing media. Now, existing media means you've already attached this to Family Tree Maker. So think about a census page where you've got the whole family is listed on that census page, and you've attached it to the head of the household. And now you want to make sure that same image is attached to everybody in the household. Or maybe you got cousins that live next door to each other. So you've got 2 families that you want to use the same image of the census to. That's when you would use link to an existing media. And when you click on that one, it's going to go to your media folder. So this has opened this up from my media folder. You can see that it's, I could sort it by category. so if I say media category, so let's say I've put all my images of censuses into a census category. Now I can go find it, right? Now from here, that's all you can see. You can open it, you can double click on it and open it in the media workspace to make sure you copy the right one, or that you flagged the right one. But what it's going to do is it's just going to put a marker. It's going to put a link. If you say link, then that's exactly why it says link to existing media. It's not going to make another copy of it because you already have it in your media folder, but it's going to put a link to this person into that document. Now you can do it at the person level. You can also do it at the source level. And we're going to talk about that throughout today's session a little bit. But I just kind of wanted you to do this. And you can create a new smart story with media that you want to do. And there's an option, if you have a scanner attached to your computer, you don't yet have that image scanned into your computer. Using scan media, you can scan it from the paper through your scanner straight into Family Tree Maker. And it's done. Now you only have it scanned into Family Tree Maker. You don't have it somewhere else on your computer. So that's, again, that structure decision that you're going to have to make. Do I want to copy on my computer and I want to copy in Family Tree Maker? You can decide how to do that, but you can take those, birth certificates or death certificates that you've got in a paper folder, and you can scan them straight into Family Tree Maker if you want to. That's what that option is for.
Hey,
Okay.
Sherry, I have a quick question. I just
Yep.
noticed on the handout it says 2024 version, but I just bought mine like maybe a year ago.
Yeah,
And
the
I
only
have
the only version,
2019.
yes, the only version that's active and supported today is 2019. If you have pre-purchased the 2024 version, which they've announced, and I can get you a link that would get you a discount on that.
Oh,
They're
yes, please.
they're offering that. They've been teasing us with this new version since January last year.
Okay. So
So
and when that comes out, that's going to be the 24 version, or is it going to
yes,
be a 25?
nope, they announced it in 24. They're building it as 24. I
I mean,
wish they just name them different things,
you would think they'd want to keep up with when it actually is released by naming it the same year it's released and not
Well, that
create.
was the plan. So just so you know, McKeeve has a policy that they will not release software until it's ready. Because if those of us that have bought software in the past, you buy software and the first thing they do is they send you an update to fix all the bugs.
Uh-huh.
And McKeeve does not want to do that. They will not do an update to a version if they don't have to. So they're testing the heck out of it so that it's golden and good to go. So that's
Yeah.
what's going on. That's what the 2024 is. We talked about it a couple months ago. There was rumor they were going to have it out in the fall. It's now February and they still don't have it out yet, but they're getting close, they say.
All right.
So that's what that's about. Okay. All right. And I showed you where to set that, if you get that neg when you first go in, you can go into the warnings and set that the way you want it to work. You can set it to always tell your computer, make a copy. I don't care where I got it from, make a copy. Do not make a copy, or prompt me, do you want to make a copy? So you can set that so that it makes it easy. And I've got the steps in there if you're going to scan images in. So one of the things we're going to talk about, so here's the media workspace is right here. And you can change the display. So let's just pick an image here. I'm going to double click it to open it up bigger. And it will now open up. So now I'm at the detail tab. So I went from the collection tab, which shows me all the images that I have, to the detail tag. And you notice that I had highlighted it. You could double click on it like everything else in Family Tree Maker. There's 2 or 3 ways to get where you want to go. You can see that this headstone image is set to fit image. You can change, you can have some controls on what you want to do with your images within this darkroom space. We're going to cover this a little bit more later, but I just wanted to let you know that in this image that you've now got here, let's walk through this panel here on the right side. This is what they call the media detail. And you will see this pop up in some of the menu options. Do you want to look at the media detail? So there's, and on the collections tab, I'm going to jump back over here to the collections tab. You see the same fields. So you can do it at the collection level, or you can do it at the detail level. So the caption is a brief title for that image. It stays in Family Tree Maker. It will not sync if you want to upload your pictures to your ancestry tree. If you don't want to, so let's say you've got a picture that includes adoptive family or something, you know, you don't want to share to the public on Ancestry. Right down here is the little private button. You can mark that image private. Now you can do it, you only can do it image by image, that you can mark them as private, but you can mark them private and they will not sync, okay? So then the date is just an open date field. You can make it whatever date you want to use, the date you took the picture, the date of the event. Let's say you've got a picture of a group that was at, you know, a family reunion. You could make it the date of the family reunion. You decide how you want that date field to behave, okay? Because it will show up on certain things. The categories here is in a different order than the other one, but you can edit this. You can put it in as many categories as you want. So you can organize your images so that you can quickly find what you're looking for within Family Tree Maker by putting it in a category. And I could put it in other, I could put it in stories. I can put it in as many categories as I want. If you have a category that you don't have, but you want to use, so maybe you want to say, I'm going to add a category called reunions, or maybe you want to make it surname specific, reunions for my father's side, or reunions for my mother's side, right? So you can make this whatever you want. So you can add that, you can just say okay, and it just gets added to the list. Nothing's in it yet because you just created it. But as you start working with your media, you can create the categories that make sense to you, so you can find those pictures faster, okay? So if I wanted to, I can highlight, I'm going to highlight this one, and I'm going to delete that category. It says, are you sure you want to delete reunions coffin? I'm going to say yes. So then it just goes away. So if you find you don't have any in there, I would always double check before you delete a category, because you could mess up the database. Okay, we've talked about the private. The description here, let's see, let me clear this button. There we go. The description is anything you want to, you could tell the story of the picture here. You can explain who's in the picture. If you've got row 1, row 2, row 3, maybe you want, and that will help you make sure you link the picture to everybody in the picture. Maybe if that's the way you want to do it. All of that kind of stuff. There is a, and we've talked about the privacy box. Audio and visual type files that you have in your media folder will not sync. The category that you create will not sync. So, you know, that's in the notes there. You'll notice that we have, this is in this information, the fact about the image. If I go over here to this next little tab, let's talk about media. Let's go over here to notes. So this is the notes tab. And so this is another place where you can add additional information. Maybe you don't want it in the description because the descriptions get used in some of the reports, but it's a note that you want to make about that picture, okay? So, or that piece of media. So you can put it in there. There's also, let me get this squared away here. On the detail tab, now it's rearranged everything. So I have my caption, I have my date, I have my categories, I have my description, I have my private. But now you notice that I have my notes are down here at the bottom. That's where my notes is at. So it's a note on this particular picture specifically. And so it just shows up in the same place in several different places. Now, the other one that I have the image there in the handout is if I'm on the person. So I'm going to go to, okay, so here's, I'm going to go to her page. And you can see I have this linked to her page, right? So it's there. And I have this media here, but if I go to the person page, I can see that I have the media is attached to her burial fact. So that's where it's at. And I have notes on the burial fact, and I have media, and here's my note. I can go to the media detail page, and now the notes moves over here. So there's 3 views, super confusing, I know that, but it's the same note on the media, whether you're looking at it from the person's fact attachment, which is where this one's at, and the detailed notes are here, or whether I'm going to the media detail page and the notes are over here, or if I go to the media page on the collections tab, no, on the detail tab, my bad, and the notes are here at the bottom. So just so you know, same note in 3 different places. So, okay. Now, there's an option if you want to use individual pictures in reports, then you can add them to the people workspace. And, if you want to make it their person, if you want to change this up here, it says right click to select or change the image, and I can add a new picture or link to an existing picture. So if I link to an existing picture, it brings me up based on media category. So I could find if I had put them in person. So you can see, I get the index, I get the Family Tree Maker index, and you can see I've got images attached to the person. That's what these are, images attached to the person. So then I could find the person I'm looking for and attach them. And you can see I don't have a lot attached to people, but I do have some. Make Lydia. So you can see that. Oh, let's see. He's a Nichols.
A quick question.
Yep.
Is there a benefit to having them in Ancestry, Family Search, and Family Tree Maker? Or if you put it in Family Tree Maker, is that just a convenience thing?
So it kind of depends on how you do your research work. If you work primarily in Family Tree Maker, then this is a way for you to verify that I have a source and I have
Okay.
images on that person without
Okay.
opening up your Ancestry as well. If you do most of your work in Ancestry, you may want to leave them there. So it's very much a personal choice. I've got kind of a blended mix of stuff just because I have a mess. I started one way and then I switched and I started a different way, and it's just kind of one of those things.
Because I'm like you, I have very little media in Family Tree Maker, but in Ancestry, I have a ton.
Yep,
And in Family Search, I have probably a moderate amount, but
yeah.
I just was curious if there was an advantage to maybe
So,
keeping everything in one place, like on Family Tree Maker or Ancestry, but
so it's very much a personal choice kind of a thing.
okay.
If if you think Ancestry is going to be around forever,
Right.
right? So there's a lot of people that sync from Ancestry Family Tree Maker just so they have a copy.
Mm,
And other people work in Family Tree Maker and they sync to Ancestry so they have a backup of another backup of their Family Tree Maker. So
okay.
it's very much personal choice.
Okay.
Syncing causes its own grief,
Yes.
because it'll change your sources. If you like your sources a certain way, it can change your sources, um, and it can change the way things are presented. And you have to be really diligent about marking stuff private because the sync is always two-way. You can never
Mhm.
say, I want to sync from Family Tree Maker up to Ancestry. If you sync to an existing tree, it will take everything on Ancestry you don't yet have on Family Tree Maker and bring it down. It's always
Oh,
a two-way sync. So,
okay.
and some of them here know that what I do is I work in both. Family Tree Maker is my main source. I sync my ancestry tree to a separate tree in Family Tree Maker. I only sync from ancestry down. I don't make any changes in that tree on Family Tree Maker. It's always, for me, it's always one way because I never make changes in it.
Okay.
But that's the way I do it.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a lot of choices, and we'll have a whole session on sync sometime later this year.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things I
Thank
want to
you.
make sure you understand, we talked about where the images are stored. They're stored in that tree named media folder. And you can see that right down here in this information, this detailed information on the image. It says, where is it stored? It's in Family Tree Maker 2019 in my tree media folder. And it tells me the name of that image there. So that's the name of the image right there. If I wanted to, I can right click on this image. I can do this if I can. So I can go to media, rename my media file. So it brings me up, it's known as this. So maybe I want to say it's her, maybe I want to say headstone, maybe I want to say something. I could rename it right here. I'm going to cancel that. It will rename it here in my media folder. If I had copied this from my computer into Family Tree Maker, so I had a copy, 2 copies, and it kept the name, it will rename it in Family Tree Maker, but not on my computer because Family Tree Maker isn't pointing at my computer. Now, if I had made it a link, this would say, and let's just do that so that you guys can see what one of those looks like. Let me think about this. I thought I had some. We may get to that later. Let me not overthink that. But if you have it pointing to someplace on your computer, it's going to give you your computer folder and the computer name. And if you change this, rename it, it will change it on your computer, but only if it's pointing over there. Okay. So there's a lot of people, there's a lot of debate on, do you create a naming structure for your files before you start attaching them? We talked about this for those of you that attended my organization class. There's some value to having a consistent naming convention for images and documents that you keep in your genealogy and where you store them and all that kind of stuff. There are people that work exclusively within Family Tree Maker, put all of their images in Family Tree Maker, and they don't think the name is important because it's attached to a person or it's attached to a source, and they can find it. Personal choice, okay? So the other thing is we talked about is this caption up here, and you can see in tip number 2 there on page 5 is there's an option to say use the caption name instead of the file name when you display the image. Okay, so let me show you where that's at. So if I go to my people page, and you can see here, this is the name of the file, right? If I hover right there, it says, you know, it's actually tied to a source. So the source, if I open this, let's see, if I open this up, that's the other thing here is it will show me, here's the caption is the same as the file name. So now if I wanted to save this and say headstone as my caption, right? Let's say, okay. You see it now displays the caption, not the file name. So this is a personal choice for you if you want to use your caption field instead of the file name. And there's a checkbox to do that in your tool settings, in your options settings. And I've got that highlighted for you so you can find it. So that's what that difference means, is that I wanted to, I can rename the media file, or I can just rename the caption. So here, if I take this out now, it reverts back to what's in the caption, which is the same as I have in my file name. Okay, so it's kind of, you know, up to you how you want to do that. Think about it, write down your plan so that you start to become consistent. And one of the good tips I give for organizing is make your plan of what you're going to do from today forward. And then you're going to have to set aside time to go and clean up the history to make it the same as what you're doing now. So you have to sit down and kind of figure out what your rules are on how you want this stuff to be set. But it's kind of up to you, okay? So I'm want to spend a little bit of time in the dark room. Let's go over here. I'm just going to open up that. There we go. So this is so I opened it from the person to get to this image. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go back to media. And I'm on the detail tab right here. See collection and detail. This opens up what they call is the dark room. So Family Tree Maker has added some features to let you manipulate the image that you have here. Okay. And so you can say, I'm going to do, you can say, I'm going to do click to, I have repair tools here that are options. So if I say light repair, see how it changed it? I can turn it on and I can turn it off. I'm going to do a moderate repair, turn it on and turn it off. So that gets really icky. So I don't want to necessarily do any of that. So nothing is, I can undo and undo and undo and undo and undo and undo to get back to where it doesn't change anymore. So you can decide how you want it to hold it. And I can have a button here to say restore to original. And that shows you that originally this was a landscape. So I'm going to undo that because I changed it. I rotated it. So it stores it this way. It always maintains a copy of these as your original. So no matter how you futz with it, you got some advanced settings here. You can change the brightness. You can decide how you want to save it. You can change your contrast a little bit. Maybe you want to read it a little bit. You know, color saturation. For those of you that do photo editing, you kind of know. I don't tend to futz with those. But when you get it the way you want it to look, you can say done. And it will store and always use this edited version, but the original will stay original. Okay, so that's I just wanted you to know that. If I have a side by side, so there's my original and there's my new one, I can see one. I can make it bigger, you know, got to zoom in, zoom out kind of a thing, right? So if you want to futz with it and then you want to save it because it's going to look better in your reports, or you want to share it with, you know, with someone else, you can see that you have this share option up here for you can share it, send it to somebody as an image or a PDF, or you can say, okay, I'm stuck. I'm just going to cancel out. I'm not going to save anything I did. So there's always that part of it. So you can say help. This is the internal built-in help in Family Tree Maker. Whatever screen or whatever module of Family Tree Maker you're in, it will open up the help for that screen. So you notice it knew I was in the dark room and it's brought up the help for me. So it gives me some detailed, and this is click to fix old images, and I get some more help on that. I'm going to go back to, okay. Help sometimes gets really wonky a little bit for me. So if I go help here, it brings me back. And you can see here how to open the darkroom. Well, I'm already in the darkroom because that's where I got to help from. So I don't need I don't need that instruction there. So that's there and is available to you. Okay. Oh, and then if you want to just cancel, I'm not going to save anything. It puts me back into this. You can crop your images. There's a tool to do that. Up here, you can rotate. Here's your rotation. Here's your zoom. You can open the file directly. You can change it to how you want it to fit. So there are some tools within Family Tree Maker. I would say if you are more practiced at using Adobe or Paint or some other tool to do your editing on your images, you might want to use that one. Family Tree Maker built this and put it into the application just for those quick things that you can do and add it to your satisfaction with the tool. But if you've got other skills in other applications, you might want to, change it from there. So I just wanted to do that. So here's where it gets to be really interesting. We're going to talk about linking this image to people and facts. And what you're going to see exactly with this one right here is you can see I have two links. It's linked to a source and it's linked to a person. Okay. So if I click on the person, it's going to bring me to her page and it shows me that it's attached to the media here on this fact. So I've attached it to her. I can never say her name right. And it's attached, I've attached it as a media to the fact. And it shows up in my media column count here. Okay. If I click on the media down here, this is all media that I've attached to her. Okay. So this is kind of hard to see. So I'm going to go to my tree and I'm going to go to, let's go to, George. Henry George. You see Henry George here. Let's see. Henry George has a lot of media. So I'm in my tree. I'm in my person view. I'm on the media tab. So you can see it counted 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I go to my person tab, you see I have 3 media that got attached to his name. I've got 3 attached to his birth. I got 3 attached to a residence. Can you tell that came from a census record? Okay. And I have, under all media down here, I have his headstone. So what's going on here? So I don't have the headstone attached to my burial fact, even though I have a source on my burial fact for him, okay? But what I can do is I can open up my source, and it says it's linked to one fact. So this is my Find a Grave source citation. It's linked to my burial fact, but I'm going to attach media. So I've got a tab here. I'm going to link to existing media. And I'm going to have to find, I wish they had a search here, so that would have made life a little easier, but it's a really super fast. George Henry, my Henry Thomas. So here's all the media I've attached to Henry. I'm going to say this one, and I'm going to say, okay. So now it's attached the headstone picture that I had attached to Henry, just Henry the person, and it's now attached to my source. And I'm going to say, okay. And now you see in my source tab, my image is attached, and I have my media attached here. Okay. But over here on my tree tab in my media folder, it says I have 5 images. I only had 1. So what's happening is the counts are different depending on how you attach images to your people in your tree. Okay. So I now have the headstone attached to Henry. I have it attached to the source on my burial. I've got the same image attached 2 different ways. And I've got, if I go to my name fact, you'll see that I've got those other images are attached to the sources. So this is my 1880 census. This is my 1850 census. And this is my 1860 census. So they're attached to the source, and they show up in the tree under my media folder here. But when I go to detail on the person, they don't show up here because they're not attached to him. They're attached to the sources. Does that make sense? And so that's kind of the choice that you have to have. So if you want to add, if you have a source that doesn't have a media attached, of course I did both of them because they're on the same. So here I've got, for Josiah, one of their sons, I've got census records with media. I've got historical records without media. I have 2 snips of something over here that's attached. You can see here under I've got 6 for his name. There's my 6. Here's his name in there twice. Here I have residence, so I've got census record for that. I've got a schedule. Here I've got the marriage record referenced on the census, not the actual marriage record. So you can see how this gets, how it's kind of nice to have your validation, your proof tied to your facts on your person. But if I open this 1850 census up, I can look at the usage, which is the links, and you can see that it's linked to 2 sources. So I have a source here. I'm going to open this one up. Okay, be that way. Nope. So I can unlink it from the selected source because I'm in the media management process, or I can unlink it from this one. This view is the media detail view. If I really wanted to futz with this, I would go to the media detailed view rather than do it from this panel. Because as you can see, I can see that it's linked to two sources, but I can't tell why it's linked that way. And without knowing what the source is attached to, then I'm in a little bit of a bind. So I can cancel this. I can go to media. This is the 1850 federal census. I'm going to go to media. I'm going to go to the collection. I'm going to go to my media category. Let's hope I put it in the censuses. 1850, there it is. So I'm going to open it in the detail page here rather than from Henry's page. And I can open this up and it lets me know that I've got this link to an 18 census. So this is in Mercer County, 1850 census. And I can open up the source from here, and I can see that this first one is attached to 3 facts. And I can go to the facts, and I'm attached to Josiah. Okay. I can close this and cancel that. I'm going to open this other one, and it's attached to 2 facts, and they're also attached to Josiah. So I've got 5 links to Josiah from this image that I need to clean up. Okay, because clearly I got to figure out what's going on. But here you can see, I can see which fact it's attached to. It's a fact to Josiah's birth and his name. But if I look at the image, here. Let's look at the image. Henry, Sawyer, George. Here's the family. I don't have it attached to everybody in the family. I only have it attached to Henry and Josiah. Here's Josiah. He's the 7-year-old. So I've got some work to do if I really want to use this, attach it to, link it to the census record for all of the people in the family, and if I want to attach it to all of the facts. So you can see that this is one, because it says it was, the source has it listed as ancestry.com. This is one I synced with Ancestry. So Ancestry was my source, and it put in the year, the place, all the information from the header record up here on the census. So it was from Delaware Township in Pennsylvania. And it said, what I can reliably tell from this is I can attach it to a name and a birth date calculation and a residence, Delaware Township. And if I wanted to, I could have attached it to his occupation. I don't typically use occupation, but Ancestry, we could have set that up. So this is how, when you get these images, you've got to figure out how do you want to process the image. Censuses can get really busy in a hurry because I've got some of these censuses in this time frame where I've got 2 families on the same page. So I don't need 2 copies of that image. I just need 1 copy of the image, and I have to manage to attach it to. So if I wanted to say, I'm going to attach, so let's do this. Let's say we know both of these links are to Josiah. Okay. So I'm going to do a new link to a source citation. So here's the source citation. Now I can create a new copy. See, this is where, if it wasn't already attached to a citation, which it is, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to cancel. I'm going to say, I'm going to attach it to the person. And I'm going to do it to Henry George, Henry Thomas. And I'm going to include Henry Thomas. And you can see here, it says link it to selected individuals. So I could go through here and I could list all of these family members and add them in to attach this census record to them. But if I say I want to link it to the facts, now I can say I want to link it to the birth, and I want to link it, I want to link it to the birth, and I can't pick more than one. So I have to do these one at a time. I want to link it to his name, and his residence. So if I say name, okay. And now I'm going to do then a link. And you can see here, it's attached to his name. If I link to a person, George Henry Thomas, link to a person's fact, and maybe I want to add his residence because it's a census record, and I say okay. So now you can see the difference. I've attached it to a person and a fact, or I've attached it to the source citation, which is now attached to the fact. So let's go back and look and see what happens here. So here I'm on Josiah, and we know that he's got lots of records attached to his name and his residence. But 1850, here's the census that's attached to the source. See this little source icon right here? It's attached to the source here. So this image is the media that's attached to this fact for Josiah because it's on the source. If I go to Henry and I've got a residence, now you can see that I have the 1850 census is attached to the person, the fact, not to the source. See how those icons are different? So that's sort of what happens when we're working our way through this, is you have that ability to attach it to the person, which would put it down here, or I can attach it to a fact, which puts it up here in this fact media folder. But you'll notice I also have him attached. I don't have that particular source identified here. So if I want to say I want to attach to an existing source citation for the residence, I'm going to go to 1850 Mercer. So I'm going to link to, I'm going to have to figure out which one of these it is. So let's cancel out of this. I'm going to go to my image. This is the 1850 census for, here's Mercer County, page, see this is in my description, 151B, image 180. Okay, so now I can I can attach to existing media, census 1850. The fact is already linked to this item. Well, it's linked because I linked it through the fact, not through the source. So on the source, I'm going to go use existing source. I'm going to do one of these because I have more than one. And I'm just going to link to the citation. Click. So now I have 1850 in here, 1880, 1850. Now I have two copies of the image attached as media to the fact, because one is to the source citation and one is to the person. I'm going to unlink this one. So I'm going to unlink that one, and it says, what am I going to unlink? This is the residence. So I'm going to unlink the residence. Unlink selected. So I now just have it in there once. See, so that's where it gets really super confusing. When you start to do this, take your time and think it through. Do I want to attach my media to my source, which is super easy, and then attach the source to the facts, right? So here's my source without an image, right? On this particular fact, I have the image here. No, I don't. So here's the image. So I have it, but it's not attached to my source. So this source, media, 1850. So I'm going to attach the media here, link to existing, census, 1850, okay, okay. So see how I've got this convoluted mess. I've got sources with some links, but not all links. I have facts with some links and some sources and some media, but not all. So this is kind of what happens when this happens. Family Tree Maker will let you do whatever it is you want to do, or have the spaghetti mess that I've got going on. So just decide how you want to manage it and be consistent. So write it down how you want to do it. I'm going to attach my media to my sources and my sources to my facts so that you don't end up with any of this, except maybe it's just, maybe this media attached to the person or the family pictures or the pictures that we know who they are rather than that they're actually a source. So, you may decide my documents, my censuses, my birth certificates, my death certificates will always be attached to my source, and sources are attached to my facts. Maybe that's the way you want to go. Maybe you just want to attach everything to the person. So you don't care. This all just shows up down here. You do whatever works right for you, okay? But when you go to start managing some of this, we've talked about how to name them, how to find them in the folders. I've got some old instructions here that are included in the handout that I couldn't replicate today. So I'm a little fuzzy. The arranging all your stuff in your person tab. So here's my for people. Here's my person tab. I think it's this one here. In theory, you're supposed to be able to arrange these. Click on the media tab and use the arrow buttons. See, I'm not seeing any arrow buttons here. Arrow buttons to move them up or down or rearrange them. If I do my person tab, I can do media folder here. So it might be this one down here. Oh, if I had more than one, I think these arrows, move media forward, move media backwards, are the arrows they're talking about. But because Henry's only got the one, they're not even activated. So if you wanted to change the order and how they appear down here, that's what that's. So let's talk about the drama one that we have, where how do you delete? So how many of these images do I have in the collection? So let's see. I got one in the census category collection, but let's say I want to look at all my media. Now I'm going to look at 1850. So here's one. And I'm going to look at this description. So this is 1850 image 180. This is Mahaska County. So that's a different one. And this is the same image, right? It's page 151B, image 180. So I have 2 copies of this one in here. Now, before I want to get rid of one, right, I'm going to open it up and make sure it's the one I was thinking it is. Here's Henry George. And see my little slideshow here? I can go over to this other one and I can open that up, and here's Henry George. Not quite a nice picture, but you can see I've got one link here. And if I go back to the other one, it's where I've got all of my links. So this one here, before I delete it, I'm going to want to figure out what this link is. So it's linked to 2 facts. I click on 2 facts, and this is Thomas Henry. This is the one I picked. Remember, I had choices, and this is the one I picked for Henry Thomas, his name, and Henry Thomas, his birth fact. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to unlink this link here. So I'm going to unlink my source to this image, unlink. So now there's nothing attached to this one. I still don't have Henry's name and birth attached to this other one, but I can do that later. But now I'm at a hot spot where I could delete this one if I wanted to. So I can do media, delete media. And it says, are you sure you want to delete these files? And then I have this option that says, move this file to the recycling bin. Now, the recycling bin is on a Windows machine, and I think you guys have something similar on the Mac, is your Windows computer recycling. I'm going to take it out of everything where it belongs, and I'm going to put it in recycling. Once it's unlinked, you can just delete it, or you can, if I don't click that, okay, it's going to remove the 2 copies that I have. One of the 2 copies I have in my media folder for this tree. But it's not going to, because I'm not sure how I got 2 copies into my media folder. So maybe I have 2 copies of this on my computer someplace else. Maybe I got one from my computer and I got one from an Ancestry sync sometime in the ancient past. I'm a little hesitant to send it to the recycling bin. So I'm just going to say yes. So now if I go back to the collection and I look at 1850 census, I don't have 2 copies of that. But on this one, I want to add a new person link. I want to redo those links that I had done. Henry Thomas to his name. Okay. It's already selected. Oh, that's because it's down there. Okay, so I'm going to do a new link to person, link to the fact, George Henry Thomas. I'm going to link it to, this is 1880 residence. I'll just add it to his birth. So now I've recreated the links I had on the image that I just deleted. Okay, so that's kind of the caveat, is before you delete an image, you want to make sure you don't have anything linked to it, a source or a person. And you want to make sure that you've replicated that somewhere else, like in this case where you've got it attached 2 or 3 places, right? And then you want to clean that up, unlink, and then delete the image. Okay, so from that perspective, we've already talked about categories. Let's take a peek here. If you've got categories identified, you can change your view here in the collections so that you can walk down. Here's my cemetery category. I've got obituaries listed with my cemeteries. Maybe I should create an obituary category so I don't have images and text. I don't know. Here's censuses. You can see I've got some whole pages. I've got some partial pages. I've got documents. So I've got, again, newspapers. I've got, this is a marriage record. This is a pension application. So you can see that I got a lot of different kinds of documents there. I don't have anything in other. And you can tell I don't have anything in other because there's no little icon there. Okay, so that's what that means. Here's some photos that I have identified as a photo. And if I click on Charlie Pike, you can see I've got it linked to his census fact. That seems a bit weird, right? So that I'll have to clean that one up. This was a birth announcement. I don't know about you, but I've got cousins that are announcing births of grandchildren on Facebook, and I grabbed a screenshot off of Facebook to save it. So I had the information. So, and then this is a picture in the cemetery. So I could put that in cemetery. It's a photo I took. So stories, we're going to talk about how to build stories. Videos, there's an option to create a video. Here's vital records. I apparently have some, and look how many I don't have classified. So of all of my media, I have in my media folder, all of these don't have a category on them. You can see here, they're all category free. So if I wanted to really make this more robust, I will probably go through and add categories to get all these census records and documents and images into into a category. It's a project for another time. Okay. But you have to do it image by image, put it in a category. As soon as I put this in a category, so if I say edit census and I say okay, it comes out of uncategorized and it went into my census right away. So if you're working through your uncategorized and you want to do that, they'll chink down as you move them into a category. Okay. So that's how that works. The last thing I want to show is how to create a slideshow. So we have this way cool tool, and I've got a slideshow right here. I'm gonna run this slideshow for you. This is one I've created. So see if I can get it to work. There we go. So it'll pop up and use your video software. In my case, I'm using a Windows Media Player. And it will just walk through whichever images you pick into your slideshow from the media you have, from the images that you have in your media folder. Okay, so you can see that I can pause it, I can go backwards, I can go forwards. So this is if you've got a family reunion coming up and you want to go through some of the pictures that you have, you can create a slideshow that you can just play with your computer on any device, and you can share it. You can send it out or run it in the corner or whatever. So I'm going to close this one out. But the way you create this is media. I got to get into another. Let me go to all media, create a slideshow, and you get this wonderful tool. So you can name this title of the show. So maybe you want to say family pictures. And you want to include only the pictures in a category. So this could be why you'd want to create a family reunion category, or maybe you want to pick a surname photos category, right? So if I pick photo category and it says include relationship media, include fact media. So I don't have anything in this category that captures that. So if I go back to census, see, I don't even have that there. So then it says image caption. Do I want it? So I've put captions in all mine. So do I want to use the images? My captions, let's say yes. And then you can say how big you want it and what quality, and your transition from picture to picture. 4 seconds is a lot. So I'm going to go down to 3 seconds. And then you can add a soundtrack. So if you've got a piece of music on your computer, you can browse it on your computer, add a soundtrack, right? And then you go to next. And then it says, this doesn't look right. I thought I picked photos. Oh, I did photos. Okay, there we go. And then I go next, and it says this is all the pictures you're going to have. So I can kind of jump through them. Okay, so I'm going to go next, and it's going to create my slideshow. And every 3 seconds, because that's the timer I put on it, it's going to transition. And you notice my captions for my photos are displayed in the slideshow. So I'm going to say finish. And I'm going to save it. Now I can save a copy to a media folder with, so I'm going to put it under album lock there, because that's kind of where my other one is. So I'm going to say, okay. So now if I go to category, album lock, now I have 2. I have the one I showed you first, and I have the one I just created. It's that simple. But the important thing is to make it really easy for yourself is you can pick and choose the pictures, or you just create a category for the slideshow and then just tag all the pictures that you want, and then that makes it super easy. Okay. Now the last thing I think we're going to cover, let's keep going. Printing them, you know, if you've got your cemetery, here's my headstone, you can print. Oh, you can't see that. Okay. So if I say print, I can print the media item, I can print the media item report, or I can print the usage report. Now the usage report is this links. It will tell me, so if I say print the media usage report, it's going to create the report. And it's going to show me nothing. If I say print the item report, you can kind of play around with this because you don't have to do anything with them until you, so here's the picture and it captures all the stuff, the caption, the date, the category, and the links. So this is kind of a nice report to have. You don't have to print it. If you print it, you can save it as a PDF. You don't have to send it to your printer. So if you say print, then you get your standard print options from within Family Tree Maker. Which printer do you want to send it to? Do you want to send it to a PDF? What do you want to do with it? Okay, this is under print. If you want to say share, now you can send the media item report, you can send the usage report, you can export the two reports. So you can't really send the image itself unless you send the item report. So I export the item report. You can see here, I can export it as a PDF, as a CVS, as, it depends on what the content is, right? Well, I can export it as a PDF and just save it on my computer. So I'm going to close out of that. So that's printing. All right. We've talked about a lot of the rest of this. So one more thing. Finding missing media. So when you've been making copies of your media into your media folder, or you've been using the file link, option, there's an option here called media, find missing media. So in this particular tree, I don't have any. Let me open up another tree and let's see, something with image. I'm going to open in a new window. I don't know if you guys knew this. We have the option to have two trees open at the same time. It just opens a new instance of Family Tree Maker. So you have two, you can't talk to them. They can't talk across them, but if you've got people in two different trees, this lets you do that. So if I go to media, I have some media here. And under media, I can say find missing media. And it came up with unknown, unknown, unknown. Now, the reason for this is that click to search manually. So I'm going to click this one. I'm going to click here to search manually. So now it's going into my media folder and it's going to let me search for that name. So I don't know what it is. So, it takes a little while to work your way through this. So you can see here that, let's see, I've highlighted this one here. So in this report here, see, it says you had a file with that name, but now I don't know what it goes to. Here's a city directories record, and I should be able to. Of course, it's not going to let me. There we go. So I've got this image that's a city directory, 1822 to 1948. So I'm going to double click on it. U.S. censuses. Okay, wait. There's stuff with numbers. You can see my naming convention is, haphazard at best. Oh, is that first one? DC, there it is. So I'm going to unclick from here. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. So here's the image with that name that it doesn't know it lost its path to that image. So we'll fix that later here. I'm looking for U.S. Census Records. USMNOP. Oop, US. Uh-oh. Yeah, there's the problem. Do you see what I'm seeing? So I have a mess.
The
I have
the
this.
the missing one was number 11. It had a 11 in a bracket.
They have 11 in the bracket, but you can see what I did is I've got all these images and they all look different. So they were captured or downloaded with the same name exactly. There's 10. I wonder if this is 11. See, this is, so I'm going to have to go through and see if oh, here's 2. Is that the same one? 22. Nope, this is 1995. So it's this setup here. So number 11 is missing. So I've got to decide, is it this one? Is this the original? And this is one, so I've got to figure out which one of these are. So we're going to cancel out of that one because that one's too hard, but we're going to go back and look for this one because we found that one. All right. And I get past the censuses. Whoops. B, C, D. There it is. So I'm just going to say open. Ta-da. So now I've attached the link. And do I want to make a copy of it? No, it's linked properly now. So I'm going to say, okay. And now I'm going to run my find missing media. And it took that one off because it was no longer lost. So that's what you have to work your way through this list for finding missing media. And you end up with, all kinds of convoluted stuff, which is why when you sync from Ancestry, don't get a little click happy like I did, because what you saw was 10 images with the same name, but different images. So I should have, when I first got them, I should have opened them up and renamed them to say, because I'm guessing, just out of curiosity here, let's go to, I'm going to go down and find those. EQR. See, I don't even have a description of who in here. Now I have links to the source. So let's see what we did. There's one fact.
That's the wrong city directory. You're looking at the 1995 instead of the 1989.
Yes, you're correct. But that's essentially the same process. So if I come back up, city directories, 1995, city directories, here's the first one. And if I open it up, I have no description, but I do have a link. So I have a hint. So I can open up the source. I can see it's linked to Norma Jean Anthony. So she was in this census. So what I can do is I can clean up my description here because it's already linked. But the one that's missing is missing. But that's what I should have done. When I first synced those in, if I'm going to use this, you want to go in and clean those up while it's fresh and you know what's going on. Because then I could put in a good citation city directory from, whatever one this really is. Because right now I just have the collection name. I don't know which date. I don't know which city. I don't have the address. I don't know which image, is here. So, and that's kind of the angst I have with syncing images from Ancestry is some of them didn't historically do good sourcing. So even though I have it linked to a source and I have it linked to a person, at a time. So here's the 1954. This must have been the 1954 because it's not a census, but it's a city directory. But I don't have any of that information captured any place that's in good shape. So if I go to, let's go to people, let's go to Norma. Let's go to residents, 1954. There's the citation attached to the residence with the media, right? But I don't have that source citation is really bad because I don't know which image on the film it was. I don't know which, I don't know which year book it was. Now the theory is, let's see if this works. If I go back to, oh, that's going to open up, oh, I want to open up my source. So, source, here we go. So, because it was linked, I clicked my source, view my source online. And let me drag this over so you guys can see it. I have to sign in to Ancestry. No, I have to sign in. Because I don't remember any of my passwords ever. Oh, and it didn't even like that one. And then I have two-factor authentication that I have to do. So my passcode to get me into the LastPass, to get me into all of my Ancestry accounts. And I have to get my two-factor authentication into Ancestry. And magically, it's going to take me because I synced it. This is one of the advantages of syncing is it creates the link here to the source here. So this link, brought me to I was in the wrong one. So let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to say cancel. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to open this source. I'm going to open this up online because I've already logged in. It's going to open it up in a new tab. And so here's the record from the information. Here's the source citation, which is what they brought with it. But I really want to know, you guys can watch how I do this. This is the Des Moines, Iowa, 1954 directory. And there's Norma on this side of the page on 736. So over here, I'm going to say, Iowa, my city directory, 1954, page, what did I say?
736.
So the interesting thing is I really want that information that I put in the source. So let's do this. I'm going to open that source back up. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to the media. I'm going to go to media details. Come on. And I'm going to put that in my description right there. So now I know what I was actually looking at. Even though the source is the city directory for that collection, it's really, I need to rename the source to be closer to what my description was. But you have to do you, right? So There you go. Wow. All right. What else do we have to talk about still today? Finding missing media. We kind of went through that. You can see. I gave you a screenshots from some that was another tree where I don't pay any attention to them. So the last thing I want to kind of cover is some of the differences between your sourcing. Is we talked about this a little bit, is the counts are off on the media, on the people tabs, if you've attached your media to your sources or your media to your facts, the counts will be off. So here I've got 4 on media for Henry. But if I go to my media folder over here, it says I have 5. And part of that's just the way Family Tree Maker counts it. And they know it's an issue, and they haven't really talked about how they're going to fix it. Okay. So that's, just, and then the other thing is here's this media tab gives you the combination of all the images that are on both the person. Well, now we put that on a source, but if I come over here to the person tab, I've got 4, 4, 3, 1, 1. So the counts are all goofed up, depending on how you've attached the media to the person and to the sources. So, if you have them there, they just don't add up right. And so I just wanted you to be aware. Don't beat yourself up if you can't figure it out, because Family Tree Maker does something weird and different with all of them. Okay. Any questions over what we've gone over today? This is kind of complicated. There's a lot of different ways to do things that works for the way your brain works and the way you want to use Family Tree Maker. So just take a deep breath. If you've got a convoluted mess like I do, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you guys. All right. Any questions? You all have a project now to go clean up your media, right? Or not. You can decide what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope
Okay.
I can remember
No
everything you said.
questions?
I might have to
I
go
know
back and
hard.
listen to this one again.
Yeah, I was actually thinking I would go through and watch the videos again.
Okay.
Probably because I didn't
Hold on,
have the
Stephen,
handouts
I was-
printed out.
So you guys were a little bit garbled up for me, so let me step back. Stephen, what was it, your comment?
Oh, I said absolutely. You've given me a lot to think about. I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch the video again to follow you, because you know your stuff. And
Well, and there are other, you can Google some of it on YouTube too. There are others that also do some of this kind of training too. But I get to this point because I've had to put together the handout.
yeah,
So I have to get comfortable and go, oh crap, what have I got? I got messes here. So
Yeah.
I get to demo how messy it can be. And then Linda, what was it you said?
Well, I didn't get the handouts printed out because my printer's not working. So and then I didn't get to the library before
Oh,
closing. And
yeah.
but
I find that I just tend to open it in a PDF reader.
And I knew I wouldn't have Family Tree Maker by the time the library closed. So it's like, okay, I won't get either one of them printed out. I'll just wait until tomorrow and print them at the library, and then I'll go over them again.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
sure, Sherry, I'm glad that you have it all messed up because that's what ours are gonna look like. And
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
and so
right.
if yours was all perfect, it would be like all this imaginary stuff you're fixing. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, and you're right, Kathy. That's very, very true. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes when you watch some of Cousin Russ's videos, because he had been in his so long and he had established his methodology that his were always pristine and followed what he wanted to do with his. And I'm like, well, how did he get there?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the handout is all the stuff that's going on at IGS for the next few months. So lots of stuff going on.
Well, it was very interesting, way over my head. So I'm gonna have to go.
Well, and I know
I'm so glad that they're recording this because this is one class where we're gonna be able to go back and look at it like, don't put a limit on it, you know? 'cause
well, and right now,
Right.
right now they're not. There is no limit on the recordings for the time being. The other one I've had some feedback on is the sources that we did last time. And that video just got posted Friday. There was some glitches with the system that they were using, and so it just got posted Friday. So, all right. Sue, you're out in Oregon. So happy you joined us.
So am
Cool.
I.
Well, and that's why I wanted to show you that when you start to look at this stuff and you start looking at your links and you go, why do I have a person's name and a source? And now you know you've attached the source two different ways.
Well,
And
I've
you
been
might want to do
really
both.
working away while you've been talking, so trying to fix stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the that's the challenge. You open up your own and you go, oh, that's what I did. Oh, I don't want to do that.
I know. And being an accountant, it is really driving me nuts because I like everything in its place. So I'm working on it.
Well, and don't get super frustrated about those counts on the person page because they don't add up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yes,
you're
well,
very
thank you.
welcome.
Yeah.
I,
All
Thank
right,
you.
guys.
my
Enjoy
email,
for those that are watching the game tonight.
well, my email said, I almost didn't open it because it said Sunday, February 19th.
Oh,
I was like, what?
yeah.
But then I clicked on it and it talked about the Super Bowl and I went, oh, okay, this has to be the right one.
Oh, yeah, that was a mistake. I messed up on that then.
So that might be
Sorry.
why your class is a little small today, was me.
Yeah, and they'll show up next on the night. What day is the 19th on?
I don't know. Hopefully.
I don't think it's a Sunday. No, the 19th is a Wednesday. So
Yeah.
they might have figured
No.
it out.
It actually says the 19th of January.
Oh no. I thought I had changed that. I tend
Yeah, I didn't see that before.
I
but-
tend to forward just so that I don't have to retype all of the link
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But as soon as I saw the thing about the Super Bowl, I went, oh, the date's just wrong. Everything else is fine.
And I think I changed the date on the corrected handout one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
came
So that will
back
help
right.
people
Yeah.
get squared
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. So if they look at the most recent email, they'll get the right one. So that'll be good. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're
We're so-
welcome.
We're so glad that you are human and that you make little errors and big errors, and it makes us feel so comfortable with
There you
you,
go.
Sherry.
Well, it to me, it just makes for better learning.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It does. Thank you very much. See you
All
next
right. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
Sherry.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yep.